Disloyal and host of the podcast Mea Culpa with Michael Cohen. Did I say best-selling book Disloyal? But anyway, my friend, good to see you, Michael.
How you doing, Alex? Well, you just did now, so
well,
thank you.
I said it. There you go. Within that op-ed, Michael, Conway asked, could you imagine one prosecutor in charge of addressing Trump's finances and taxes, his hush money payments, obstruction of the Mueller investigation, the Ukraine scandal, and post-election misconduct for starters? Do you, Michael, agree it would take multiple special counsels to accurately investigate Donald Trump?
Yeah, that's only a small amount of the wrongdoings that's committed by Trump and associates. So, yes, I do believe that you would need more than one individual in order to handle the full breadth of Donald Trump's behavior.
You know, it's interesting because Conway says that a desperate fear of criminal indictment may even explain Trump's willingness to break any number of laws to stay in office despite losing his re-election bid. Democracy and the Constitution be damned. Do you agree with that, Michael? I mean, Trump was afraid to face his
I agree.
Yeah, you do?
Alex, I agree with that. I agree with everything that George said in that article, which is sad if you think about it, because Donald Trump not only has never read the Constitution, he doesn't care about the Constitution so long as that there's a benefit to him. You know, then there's something that I also just was thinking about the other day. I had put out a tweet talking about how Trump did not pardon himself, or he did not pardon his children, or Rudy Giuliani. And after a while, of course, knowing Donald Trump for well over a decade, almost a decade and a half as I do, I started thinking to myself, it doesn't really make sense because it's not Donald Trump. So what am I missing? What are we missing as America? And I kind of think I figured it out. I think Donald Trump actually has given himself the pardon. I think he also has pocket pardons for his children and for Rudy, and it's already stashed somewhere that if and when they do get indicted and that there's a criminal conviction, federal criminal conviction brought against him, that he already has the pardons in hand. So I started searching over the weekend for whether or not the Constitution requires that pardons be disclosed to the American people or to the press. And I couldn't find anything that said that it does. And that, to me, is more in line with what George Conway is trying to say about how Donald Trump doesn't care about the law, how he will skirt the law, how he will do anything to benefit himself. And that includes even, you know, doing something like this with a pocket pardon.
I got to say, that is a stunning prospect that you bring up, not one that I've heard. And again, you said you've been thinking about this one for a while. But constitutionally speaking, how would that even work?
How does anything work constitutionally with Donald Trump? I mean, he doesn't look at it as, well, this could be violative of the Constitution. He will do what benefits him, and then he will wait for someone to tell him that it's unconstitutional, and then he'll challenge it. I mean, that's just how he works. The Constitution, democracy, none of that means anything to him. I think we've all seen that going back, I mean, as early as January 6th. Well, he doesn't care.
Look, I just want to say it's the first time I'm hearing something like this. It's not as if you have spoken with Donald Trump and you know this to be fact. I know you're speculating about this, but it's interesting. I'll grant you that. What about another thing that Conway writes in the Washington Post, that investigators should follow the lead of the New York prosecutors? And I know you, Michael, have been interviewing with the Manhattan DA around the allegations that Trump committed all these, senses of financial fraud. Can you share any of those details? Can you tell us if you're going to be speaking more with Cy Vance Jr.?
So I'm certainly somebody of great interest and a lot of help to not just the district attorney here, but the attorney general, as well as several other congressional committees that have reached out over the course of since I'm back from my unconstitutional remand to prison by President Trump and Bill Barr. So the answer is yes. Without getting into the sum and substance of their investigation, let me just say to you, Alex, that the DA has an enormous amount of documentary evidence. You see, that's the beautiful thing about documents. There's an old adage that numbers don't lie, people do. And as we know, Donald Trump will lie about anything. But the documents speak for themselves, and they are using that documentation in order to create the basis for the indictment. Some of the things that I have provided are those documentary evidence papers going back 21 months when I testified before the House Oversight Committee. But more than that, I'm giving them a roadmap into how the Trump organization and Donald Trump works and behaves. In that way, they get a better understanding on how to use the information that they already have.
Do you have a sense of when the Manhattan DA could file charges?
Well, I always say in my tweets, I believe it'll be under 3 Scaramucci's, so we're talking about under a month.
Okay. Let's talk about the Wall Street Journal reporting, which has some new details on Trump's alleged plot to replace his acting attorney general with a DOJ lawyer that was willing to help overturn the election results. The Journal is reporting, Michael, before that plot, Trump pushed the DOJ to ask the Supreme Court to invalidate Biden's victory. And that's a move that his 3 appointees refused because it was illegal. What does this behavior tell you?
It's Donald Trump. His belief system is that I gave you the opportunity of a lifetime. I made you into a Supreme Court judge. I'm asking you to do this for me. I'm actually not asking you. I'm telling you that this is what you're going to do for me because I'm the one that puts you there. And so, you know, when it comes to loyalty, he expects from them complete and total loyalty. Thank God, fortunately, that they have more scruples and that they have more value than Bill Barr did, because how do you think, again, going back to my remand to prison, simply because I refused to sign a document that said that I couldn't publish a book in violation of my First Amendment constitutional right. So I find it ironic that Donald Trump is claiming Constitution, Constitution, Constitution only when it benefits him. Right? And if it benefited anybody else, he's willing to step on anybody else's constitutional right, simply, and that means the entire country, so long as he gets what he wants. And in this specific case, it was to stay in power and to basically become the autocrat and the dictator that he wants to be.
You know, what's interesting right now, the Biden administration, they're trying to mull over what happens here, whether they release Trump's federal tax records to House Democrats, who've certainly been asking for them for years. Should that happen, Michael? And if it does, what will it reveal?
Wow. So if it does, first of all, I like the fact that Joe Biden is trying to keep a hands, or an arm's length distance away from the entire scenario. If in fact that it's determined, and I believe that it will be, that Donald Trump should be investigated, then they will appoint at least one special counsel and let the special counsel handle it. I think for Joe Biden, he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Justice has to be served. I mean, the one thing the Democrats have constantly said from the very, very beginning is that no one is above the law. Now, what ultimately happens, that will be up to the law in order to make the determination. But it doesn't just stand for Donald Trump. It stands for Donald Trump. It stands for his company. It stands for Don, for Ivanka, for Jared, for Eric Trump, and all of those that were part of the, incitement of this riot on January 6th and their insurrectionist behavior. And that's just the beginning of it. Let's go back. I find it kind of a little disturbing that I listen to the GOP members sit there and cry about how that the insurrectionists raided the Capitol while they were doing their jobs, and that Washington, Capitol Police had to escort them into the bunker and out of the building and so on. They're very upset about their safety. Well, I certainly didn't see one single member of the GOP give a damn about when Donald Trump was threatening me and my family, and I didn't have Capitol Police. I had nobody within which to protect me, but not even an admonishment letter by any of these animals. So as far as I'm concerned, stop whining, right? You had Capitol Police there protecting you, and God bless them and all of them that put their lives on the line for all of them. But they didn't have the same respect for me when Donald Trump, through his Twitter account, was inciting or blowing his dog whistle to his MAGA supporters, to basically come after me and my family. Not a single admonishment from any of them, and they should all be embarrassed with themselves.
I always appreciate the passion with which you come on this broadcast. And Michael, if anybody didn't get enough right there, they can go to the best-selling book, Disloyal. They can also go...
Please make sure to subscribe to my channel. You can do so by clicking the link right above this video. That way, you'll get immediate updates for all my new videos that I'm going to be posting over the next few weeks.